This is an official announcement from the Podcast Tonight Awards. Your favourite show that you're listening to right now has been officially nominated for a Podcast Tonight Award. But the power is in your hands. Amongst other categories, this show is in the running for the prestigious Listener's Choice Award, and they need your vote to win. You can show your support and help them get the recognition they deserve. The link to vote is in their show notes and bio. Go now and make your voice heard. This has been a message from Podcast Tonight, celebrating the best in audio.
Coming to you from the Freedom Federal Credit Union Studios, Harford County Living presents Conversations with Rich Bennett.
Slow pitch affairs.
It's probably the least sexy part of the work. It's okay. No. The truth is.
All right, so today I am joined by some man who always gives me a hard time no matter what, Joe Ayler. And we have a group on who I met through the Chamber podcast. And right away I was like, okay, you guys have to come back on to talk about the story of how the business started. I mean, actually, take that back. Well, yeah, how it started and what it's doing now. But I'm going to have you all just go around and introduce yourselves because we got a full table.
Yes,
we do.
I am Shirai Yousefi, and it is great to be here.
And I'm Jik Yousefi. I'm the president of Carefree Kitchens and the founder of Carefree Kitchens. And
Norm Schertzer, sales manager at Carefree Kitchens.
Jed Yousefi. I handle marketing and wear many different hats in the business. I'm the son of Jik.
First of all, what brought you to America? Because your story to me is amazing. And then how you started the business and all.
Yeah. So I came United States in 1972. I was 19 years old. And this is, of course, before the Islamic Revolution, which happened in 1979. So the reason that I came to United States was to continue my post-high school education. But then things changed and I just couldn't go back to Iran and the revolution happened and really everything went back to pots, basically. Things was very difficult back in Iran. And at the time, they were involved in a war with Iraq, and all the young people were being recruited, and they were being forced into going into battle. And so it was a very difficult time. And of course, it wasn't like a normal war that was going on. I don't know if you ever heard the stories. But what this Islamic government basically did when they wanted to clear the minefields, and I know that, Rich, you have been in the Marines and you know, when they wanted to clear the minefields, they would recruit kids that they were like 10 or 11 years old, or maybe even a little bit younger, a little bit older. They would give them, we were talking about the spiritual things earlier. They would give them a key, a plastic key, put it around their neck, and they said, this is a key to heaven, right? And they would make them run across the minefields. And many of these kids died. Many of them became maims and lost, their extremities.
Right.
So it was just an awful thing. So anyway, when I came to the United States, at the beginning, it was a difficult time. I didn't speak the language. And of course, there was, you are homesick and you don't know anybody. And I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do in this culture. Now, one thing that is great about the United States is that everybody has an opportunity and you can just participate in whatever you want and you can just set your own destiny in a sense, if you really set your mind to it. And I remember not knowing let me go back, just tell you how it just happened. When I came on the United States, I came aboard of a C-130 at that time, landed in McGuire Air Force Base in New Jersey.
Not a comfortable flight.
No, it wasn't a comfortable flight. I mean, we were sitting in the back, where they put paratroopers. You couldn't hear anybody, right? There was like 6 of us, plus there were 4 crew members. And so what it took about 3 days before, we landed in the United States because C-130s couldn't fly across the ocean.
Right.
They had to have a, stop. And we ended up stopping in England and Azores Island and then came to McGuire Air Force Base. So here I am, and 19 years old, and this is a military base basically, and you don't have the regular facilities and everything that you normally would have in an airport. So I'm standing there, and we had to wait a couple of hours, and they had to call in immigration officer or an ICE agent and custom officer. And it took a couple of hours before they finally found somebody, and they came in and checked us all in. So we are standing there, and everybody is leaving one by one. Their friends are coming and picking them up. But I had nobody because I really didn't think that far ahead. I just thought, okay, it's great. United States, you go there, everything's good. What I've heard about United States is all land of opportunity. It is wonderful. You can do things. But I never really thought about it, all the details of it, because I was a naive teenager, basically.
How many people on the plane?
Total of 10.
Tell me about how you became one of the 10.
Well, as it happened that my father had one of his relatives that was in at that time, Iranian Royal Air Force. And
he was very respected in his community.
Yeah. And then the relationship between Iran and United States during Shah's regime was very good. All of the equipment and material that we had in the army, they were like American made. So these airplanes would come back and forth regularly. They would bring back spare parts, and they would bring personnel for training. So that is how I ended up. Plus, it was much cheaper than flying on a regular airline.
Yeah, it is.
It was much cheaper. Not as comfortable.
You don't get the bag of peanuts either.
Yeah, that's right. You don't get nothing. Right. It was, you sit on those, where all the power troopers sit, right? When
it's like a long bench canvas,
that's it.
Seat, that's it.
That's it.
So it was kind of like, hey, there's a C-1 landing to pick up parts. This time I got 10 spots. Talk to your son.
Yeah, we got 6 spots. They have 4 crews.
Right. Talk to your son, and if he wants to get on, so that's kind of like your ticket.
That's it. That's pretty much it.
Wow.
That's pretty much it. So that's what happened. And so, I'm standing there once we landed, and it is getting late in the evening, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do next? So there was this one German lady that was on the plane with us. Her husband was in Philadelphia. He was officer in Iranian Royal Navy, and he was in Philadelphia for training. So we are in the airport, and it is quiet now. Occasionally, an airplane is taking off or landing, and so she saw me standing there bewildered. Frankly, at that point, there was a fear that had come over me because I'm thinking, what am I going to do? I don't know how to make a phone call. I don't know how to catch a cab. I don't know how to catch a bus. Plus, I don't know even where I'm going.
Plus, you don't know English.
I didn't know. Absolutely, I didn't know. So she comes over and she says, do you need help? I said, yes. She said, oh, okay. Where do you want to go? I said, I don't know. She said, you don't know where you want to go? I said, no. She said, do you know anybody here? I said, no. She said, now, wait a minute, you don't know where you want to go. You don't know anybody here. Why'd you come here? I said, I don't know. That's kind of like the way it worked. She said, well, do you absolutely doesn't know anybody at all here? Well, I was supposed to go to college. I had what they call an I-20, which is an acceptance form from a college in West Baden, Indiana, called Huntington College. But that wasn't until the fall of the year, and this is in April of 1972. So I had a phone number in my pocket from, my mother's cousin that my mom gave me. And she said, why don't you take this with you? I said, Mom, I don't need any phone number. I can take care of myself. Just typical arrogant teenager. But fortunately, I had the phone number. I said, well, okay, I have this phone number. She said, give it to me. Let me call that number. She calls up the number, and my mom's cousin, his wife, answers the phone. And she gets on the phone and she starts talking to her in English. I'm assuming, she sounded like, to me, like she spoke fluent English, But anyway, going back and forth. So she calls her up and says, I have your husband's cousin here. And the lady on the other end of the phone says, well, who is my husband's cousin? She asked me, she said, what's your name? I said, Jik. So she relays my name. And the lady on the other end says, I don't know any Jik. And so they talk a little bit. And the lady says, well, why don't you call my husband who is at work? So she says, okay, give the phone number. Then she calls up my mom's cousin, and he's still at work. So there is something to be said about workaholics. There is a blessing in that, let me tell you. Because by this time, it's like 7 in the evening, like 6:30, 7 o'clock, and he's still in the office, thank God. He answers the phone, and she repeats the same, goes through the same question. I have your cousin here. And he says, who is my cousin? He says, Jik. He says, I don't know anybody, Jik. Well, he had come to the United States some 15 years earlier.
Oh, wow.
I was only 4 years old. He doesn't have any understanding of who I am. Plus, there wasn't really a close relationship between my mom and them and so forth. And so he says he doesn't know you. I said, well, let me talk to him. So I talked to him in Farsi, of course, told him who my mom was, who my dad was. And so, oh, yeah, okay, I know you, he says. And he lived in Dayton, Ohio. And he said, he told me, he said, give the phone back to the lady and I'll speak with her. So I gave the phone back to the lady and he gave her some direction, how to get a ticket and this and that. And she hung up the phone. She said, okay, I'm going to take care of you. And later on in life, I'm reflecting back to this. I said, man, this is hand of God. I mean, this is all just providence because I don't know how else this could have come about. So she gets on the phone and she calls up Philadelphia Airport and reserves a ticket for me. Then she says, why don't you wait here? My husband's friends are coming to pick me up. And they're going to take me to my husband. After they drop me off, I'll have them to take you to the airport and help you. Meanwhile, she wrote a little 3x5 cards. I don't know what she wrote on them, but she numbered them for me because I had a layover in Pittsburgh. So I get the cards and the friends come, and the friends, of course, are Iranian, so we can speak Farsi and everything's good. We get in their car, they drop her off, and they take me to the airport. They get my ticket, and then they walk me. This is, of course, before 9/11. They walk me all the way up to the gate. They said, sit here. When that door opens up, you give this card number 1 to the lady that's going to be standing over there. And that's how I got on the plane.
Wow.
And then when I showed it to her, she put me in the front seat. She said, you sit here, whatever the card said, and then I had the card number 2. When we landed, she walked me to the next gate, and she said the same thing. Over there, number 2 kind of a thing. And I'm, okay, I understand kind of a thing. So I ended up in Dayton, Ohio. And but I don't know who this cousin is. So I'm trying to figure out over there, okay, who is this person? And I'm looking. So I thought, okay, maybe the best thing is that if I call his name loud, somebody would actually. So that's exactly what happened. So I called him and I saw somebody going like this. I said, okay, that's him. So I ended up with him. And that's how actually things started. So moving forward in history. So there is about, I would say 6 months later, I'm back in Baltimore. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? Where am I going to live? My brother had a friend that lived at the time in Houston, and he had moved just to Baltimore, and he was looking for a house as well. And so I connected with him, and we ended up getting a room somewhere, and we were living in that room. And he found the room for me, and it was near the old Memorial Stadium on 33rd Street. I still remember 33rd and Alameda. But
wow.
Yeah. So anyway, and then I'm trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do, right? I need to have a job. I don't have any money. I don't know the language. So every Iranian guy, just like normally, if you don't know the language, you're going to hang around with the people that you know and they can speak your language. So I'm around all these Iranian guys, and everyone I see, I said, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Finally, my friend told me, he said, let me tell you something. He said, when you see any of these Iranian guys, look at their left arm. If their left arm is suntan and it is darker, they are driving a cab. If they are not, he's working in a restaurant. I said, oh, great, that makes it easy. So I looked at the guys, one of them, do you work in a restaurant? I said, yeah. I said, do they have a job that I can get? So I don't know, I'll ask. So I ended up working as a busboy in a restaurant. And so that was really the beginning of it. And of course, some maybe 3.5 years later, now I'm acclimated in society. I ended up getting married. And the greatest blessing that happened to me, of course, my wife. And the rest of that is a history, you may get into a little bit at a time. And so I worked in a restaurant for a while. And then there was a guy that worked there, and he was about 65 years old. And strong guy, and everybody called him Pops. So I asked him one time, I said, Pops, how long you've been doing here? He said, oh, about 40 years. I said, 40 years you have been working in a restaurant? He said, yeah. I said, man, that's incredible. I said, well, how did you end up working in a restaurant? He said, well, I used to work for the railroad, and they would send us ad in the hot and in the cold, and we are working, and it was difficult. One day somebody came to me, he said, hey, do you want to make some money and be in a nice environment that you don't have to be in the heat and the cold? And I said, yeah. So I came in, I worked in a restaurant, and I've been working ever since. Then I thought to myself, I said, wow, I don't think I want to be here 40 years from now and waiting on tables or bossing tables and stuff like that. What should I do? Well, there was a manager that we had. We had a maitre d' at the time. Maitre d' had a business that he was running on the side, and it was a picture framing business. And I went to him, and I was working in the evenings in a restaurant. I went to him. I said, hey, listen, can I make a deal with you? He said, what's that? I said, how about if I come and work for you for free, and you just show me how the businesses are run in the United States? Because in Iran, we had no tax laws. There is no regulations. You just go do things if you have an opportunity to do it.
Well, you can do that here.
That's right. That's right. So, that was a great deal for him. He said, sure, come on here. So I went and worked for him for free, and he was telling me, how things are done. After a while, I was keeping his books and everything. And so I was starting to learn. Well, one day, my wife and I, at this time I'm married, my wife and I, on a Sunday, we are sitting, and back then there was a restaurant that was in Towson called Bob Evans. No, what was it called?
Bob Bateman's?
No, it was, anyway, it'll come to me in a minute. There was a restaurant, we were sitting there, and having, I still remember it was Mother's Day, and we are having breakfast, and then I hear all these fire engines going by. So I wonder what happened. Well, the next day, Monday, when I go to work, I find out what happened. The guy had set the place on fire to collect the insurance money. He didn't teach me that part of it, right? and I was
the 65-year-old dude that had been in there.
No. This is my boss that I was working for free at this time.
The framing guy.
The framing
guy set his place on fire.
On fire. He actually did that in business twice, and finally the insurance company caught up with him, and he ended up spending time in jail. But so now all of a sudden I don't even have a place to go. I said, what am I going to do here? So the place that I'm working is all burned up. I said, okay, I got to think about something. So I went to the guy. I said, look, everything that you see here either is been damaged by fire, or if it's not damaged by fire, it's damaged by water. What are you going to do with all these things? He said, I don't know. I'm probably going to trash it. I said, how about this? How about if you and I make a deal, I pay you a certain amount of money, which I don't have, and I pay you eventually, and I'll start business. He said, okay, that sounds good with me. So we made a deal, and then I went to the landlord. So I told the landlord, I said, great people. Merit Corporation. They are wonderful people. You probably know them. They're all over town. Wonderful people. So went to them. I said, look,
the landlord. Hold on a second. The landlord where?
This is where the
place burned down.
Yeah.
So the framing guy, did he burn down a place that he didn't own?
He burned down the business. It was in a rental place, right? He was renting from the Merit, right?
So he burned somebody else's house down.
Well, this was actually a concrete building. It was a warehouse building, right? Commercial building.
He was renting it.
Right. So I went to the landlord. I asked him if he would give us 3 months of free rent, and we would clean the place, and we start a business. And they said, sure, we'll do that. That was great. So that's how I started in business, right? So I started with ashes, basically on ashes. I mean, nothing was there. So I was in picture framing business. Go ahead if you have it.
Yeah. So I'm always curious about this. The moment when the concept, the idea to ask the individual, okay, can I start my own business?
Yeah.
Talk to me about where you think that comes from. Is you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Someone could have easily just said, all right, it's burnt down. I'm going to go find another job.
Yeah. Well,
Do you think that is that within us as entrepreneurs?
I think it is within us entrepreneurs, because you always think beyond what is there. You can be really satisfied with the things that is there in your life and just do that, or you can start thinking about things beyond it. And I don't think this is something that, there is a verse in the Bible. It says, what do you have that you did not receive? So when you think about our stamina, you think about our wisdom, you think about our way of thinking, it is like kind of a gift that is given to you. And there is a responsibility within each individual to be faithful to the gift that they are given. So now I didn't used to think on those terms back then. Now, of course, here 50 years later, I'm looking back.
Because it probably started when you stepped on that plane, too.
Exactly.
Because you wanted something more.
Because
you could have easily said, easily let fear overcome you.
Yeah.
But something inside you said, there's something out there for me more, and I'm going to, because that's probably a 19-year-old stepping on that kind of a plane to fly.
Yeah.
Across the Atlantic into a foreign.
There's a lot going through your mind.
Yeah. It was a lot. Exactly to your point, Joe. It was, it was just the only way that I can describe it. I was unsettled. Right? There was something inside that was constantly churning, right? That I'm not settled here. I need to do something else. And one thing that has always kind of guided me in life is that to do the next thing that is clear to me. Otherwise you're confused in life, right? Mm-hmm. What do you do? What is the next step that is the right thing to do? That has always been one of the things that I have pursued. And that is exactly what happened. I don't know why when I graduated from high school, I don't know why that thought occurred to me that I want to go to America, but I had heard all these wonderful things and I thought, man, that's a great thing to do. Why wouldn't you want to do that if you have that opportunity? That's how I ended up here. So when I came here and I wanted to start a business and I didn't know how, because I said, I don't want to be a waiter until, nothing wrong with waiter. Believe me, I think the restaurant business has put in many of the lawyers and the doctors and business people and engineers through life. I mean, that's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. But, I thought about it. I said, I don't want to be a waiter for 40 years later on. There's got to be something else to do. So what can I learn? What is it that I want to do next? And that's how I went to this guy who was my boss at the time at the restaurant. And he had a business on the side. And I said, would you teach me how businesses are done? And in place of it, I work for you for free. Well, that was news to his. I mean, yeah, great. I'll do that. If I don't have to
jump on.
Yeah, if I don't have to pay you. So that's how, I started that business of framing. So we started with ashes. I was in it for about 5 years. Then I sold that business and we were going to move to Boston, but through certain circumstances that didn't happen. Then while I was working at the time for a friend of mine, and I was taking care of his books, and he was in a construction business and taking care of some of his administrative work and that sort of a thing. An opportunity came up that there was a company that was up for sale, and I thought to myself, I said, this is maybe a good opportunity if I go and buy that. And the business that was there was they were manufacturing displays. Back then conventions were the big things. And so if you wanted to go to a convention, you would have somebody make kind of like a reception desk, like a display for you so you can show your products and that sort of a thing. So it was that kind of a business. And so I bought that business from him, but at the time I didn't have money to pay him for it. So I made a deal with him. I said,
you're making a lot of deals.
Yeah.
That's if there's no more fires.
That's the third deal you made.
Yeah. So, I told him, I said, I'll pay you overtime and so forth.
You paid these guys back, didn't you?
I did. I paid everybody back. I paid everybody back. Yes.
Maybe the guy you didn't pay back is the guy who's unplugged.
No, I paid everybody back. A good name is better than gold and silver. So I believe in that principle. So I paid everybody back. And
wait, what was that you just said?
I said a good name is to be desired more than gold and silver.
Right. I never heard that before.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So,
Get that on a shirt.
Yeah. Reputation is currency, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah. So to this day, we are good friends and we do a lot of business together.
Oh, is that right?
Wow. Yeah. Very good friend. And so that's how it started. But the company, they were making displays and that sort of a thing. And I didn't know anything about displays. I did buy the business, and then I thought, okay, this is not the business that I know anything about. What are we going to do? And that brings me to how Carefree started, because Carefree, the name itself actually has a history that goes back to 1930s. It has nothing to do with me, but there is a history there, right? Back in 1930s, there was a guy named Albert Weiner, and wonderful people. Him and 4 of his brothers, they had a woodworking and a cabinet making business down in Baltimore. They were on Hollins Street. Mm-hmm. And they were industrious people. And they, after a while, they were began to manufacture a line of plastic laminated cabinets, and they called it Carefree cabinets. And the reason they called it Carefree was because, unlike a wood cabinet that, the stain can change, right, with the laminate products, you can just wipe it and it is clean and so forth. And their business really grew. And they decided that now, instead of us being into the cabinet business, maybe we want to actually get into the plastic laminate business, because they were buying a lot of laminates from Formica Corporation. So they started a company that was called, at that time, National Plastic Product Corporation. And they started manufacturing plastic laminate product. They changed the name later on to a brand called Nevermore. I don't know if you ever heard of the Nevermore laminate. Mm-hmm. And the reason they call it, there is a little funny story. The reason they called it Nevermore, because for what I have heard, that it is a pun taken out of the poem by
Edgar Allan Poe.
That he says no more, that the raven keeps saying no more, no more. So they called it Nevermore because they were trying to basically promote the product, that once you buy this, you don't need to buy another cabinet. This is it for you. So, and then they sold their cabinet business, and they stayed with the production of their laminate product. And then the company eventually moved into Odenton. They had a lot of land and so forth and so on. And in fact, today, if you go there, the Piney Orchard community that is there, they developed that. But anyway, so when they sold their cabinet business, the guy who bought it, he, after a while, decided that he's going to go into a different business, and he closed down the cabinet business that they had. And when I bought this other company and they were making displays, I said, well, maybe the best thing is to do is start manufacturing cabinets. And I was looking for a name. And then this name, Carefree Cabinets, was available. I said, that is a good name. So we acquired the name. So we start manufacturing Carefree Kitchens. And that's how Carefree Kitchens came about.
Wow.
But so at the beginning, we were, of course, manufacturers. 100% of our revenue was generated through the products that we manufactured. We had a good number of dealers along the East Coast, and we manufactured cabinets for residential applications, kitchens, and so forth. But as the time went on, things became very competitive, and we didn't have the capital trying to really compete with the big boys that they were coming in town. So we decided, okay, yeah, maybe it's time for us to shift. And, it's one of those things, I'm pretty sure, Joe, through the business, and that you have these cycles of business. You have these gyrations in the economy that goes up and down constantly, and you have to be really flexible to move with it. Otherwise, you can get destroyed in the process as things start going downhill. And we have survived over these past, we started the business in 1987. So we have been in business for 38 years. And so during these 38 years, there has been a lot of ups and downs in business, not to mention 2008, that basically the whole construction industry went into a deep recession. It was more than just a setback. And it was a depression, actually. So anyway, we thought, okay, we cannot compete in this market because we cannot manufacture the products as inexpensively as these big boys are doing. And so what are the alternatives? That's when we decided that we are going to actually become distributors. So today that we are speaking, 85% of our revenue is generated through distribution. We represent over 17 different national brands. We can sell products through all 48 United States states that are continental United States. And so we still do a little bit of manufacturing, but not to the level that we used to. And that's where we are. And it's very wonderful. I'm really blessed that have been able to have some of my children. We have 8 children, and we have some of the children that are involved with the business.
But no design or install.
We do design, but we do not install, because a great segment and great portion of our customer base are remodelers, and we don't compete with them. We do have remodeling license. We could do it, but we do not do it. And so remodelers come and they send their customers to our showrooms, and our designers meet with them, and they help and they design. And it works out great both for them and for us, because they don't have to spend the time with the homeowners trying to figure out what it is that they want. We take that burden away from them. And we assume the responsibility and risk of the design and functionality. And that works out great for a remodeler, because that's what they want. They are remodelers. They make their money by swinging the hammers, not sitting down trying to make a design work. So that is where we are today.
Now, you said, but all the kids don't work there, right?
Not all the kids. We have 5. We have 2 of the kids that work full-time, 3 other ones that work part-time. And
you're only part-time?
Yeah.
I have my own company as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's podcast number 3.
So Dad rubbed off on you.
Dad and Mom rubbed off on all of us.
Okay.
For sure.
No fires involved.
No.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure.
Well, the reason she's not working full time is not that because we don't want her to work full time. She's doing something else. She's running for an office, right? So at this point, she has to spend some time over there and some time over here.
So she's going to be even busier when she wins.
That's right. She's going to be very busier, right?
Well, what's your other business?
I run a fashion and image consulting business for clients based mostly in D.C. and Northern Virginia.
Really?
Yeah. I have for a few years.
You can start with him. We'll spruce you up.
Put on a Goldilocks shirt, man.
The first rule in fashion is to make sure that your zipper's zipped up.
Oh my goodness.
Poor Rich.
Oh,
yeah.
God. Last
Tough
time you were
weekend.
on, it was a diaper, and then this time the zipper down. I can't wait for losing. I wasn't wearing a diaper. No.
Let's not go there.
Now, do you have your own business too, or you just work full time here?
Yeah, I work full time with Dad at Carefree Kitchens, and it wasn't originally my plan. I love the family business, and we grew up around it. You
Right.
know, I guess ever since we were little, he would take us into work on Saturdays, and sometimes during the week we'd just go in, and we loved it. We're like, man, he has the coolest job ever. And then you get used to the sawdust and the smell and everything, and it kind of sets in, and you're like, this is the best.
Smell of
But being a distributor, you don't employ any cabinet makers.
We do have some cabinet maker, but not to the extent that we used to.
Now, do you guys keep a lot of inventory, or is this just like on a as need kind of with with your clients?
Both. We do have some clients that we inventory products for, but most of the product that we bring in, they are pre-sold goods. So
anybody in the family a cabinet maker?
no.
I want to talk about that a minute with cabinet makers, and Joe, you've probably seen this being in the roofing industry, because that's a specialized trade.
Very specialized trade.
How hard is it to find a cabinet maker nowadays?
Very hard.
Very difficult.
The trim carpenters are tough to
over
find.
Over the years, we have been really blessed. We have had some great cabinet makers and woodworkers that have worked for us. In particular, I may have mentioned it before. There was a guy that actually he was Iranian as well, that he worked for us for, 25 years maybe. Mm-hmm. He used to live in Northern Virginia, and he used to come to Baltimore to our facility and work there. This guy, for all those years that he worked for us, not once that I remember calling sick.
Wow.
We would have a snow, and he would be the first one that is there because he would leave early. He would leave his home early to get to work, so when the snow is on the roads, he doesn't get stuck. This guy, when he came to the United States, he started working for us, and at the time he was making $8.50 an hour. Over the period of years that he worked for us, he had 4 kids, 2 sons and 2 daughters. All four of them ended up with PhDs.
Wow.
So it is not true that you don't have the opportunities.
Yeah.
In this land, you have opportunities to do everything that you want to do. And if you are not achieving it, it's because you are not willing to put the labor into it, to put the work into it. Life is nothing other than planting and harvesting. Depending on what it is that you plant, you're going to harvest. You can plant wonderful things and harvest wonderful things. Or you can plant thorns and thistles and you get troubles in life. That's just the way things work.
Now you met your wife when you here in the United States.
Yes.
Talk to me briefly about like the alternate reality. If you didn't get on that plane, talk to me about the decision to get on the plane.
Yeah.
And if you didn't make that decision,
I would have been, I probably wouldn't have been alive because I would have had to serve in armed forces. And at that time, after a short while after I came to United States and the revolution happened, the war broke out between Iran and Iraq. Because after Shah was deposed, Saddam Hussein was in power, and he thought that's a good opportunity to attack Iran because there were some disputes over some land that he would be able to take the land back. At that time, I would have been maybe about 25, 26 years old. If he was in Iran, I would have been required to serve in the armed services.
You're listening to Conversations with Rich Bennett. We'll be right back. If you're looking to grow your business in Harford County, look no further than the Harford County Chamber of Commerce. They're dedicated to helping local businesses succeed. From networking events to business resources, they provide the support you need to thrive. Join today and start making valuable connections in your community. I did it. It's the best move I ever made and definitely the best chamber I've ever been a member of. Visit harfordchamber.org to learn more. The Harford County Chamber of Commerce is your partner in business success.
And it was your dad that had the friend in the Royal Air Force?
Yes.
If your dad doesn't have that friend,
Exactly.
you don't get on the plane, you don't come over here,
exactly.
you don't go to Dayton, you don't come back to Baltimore, the place doesn't burn down, you don't meet the wife, you don't have the kids. It's just crazy how one decision.
That's right.
The place may still burn down. He didn't burn it down.
Yeah, that is exactly right. Because, as the famous baseball player once said, when you come to a fork, you better take it, right? So life is like that. You come to these choices that you have to make. And the question is, which way you're going to go, right? You can go left, but you have all these doubts, and there is fear, and there is insecurity. I'm not really so sure. But then there is this other side of it that you say, I know I can do these things. You're not certain how things are going to work out. But you're willing to take the risk. You're willing to take the next step to see how things are going to work out. Because in life, the opportunities, the windows that open for us are limited. They're not always presented to you. And if you don't take those opportunities and take the risks that go with it, then you regret later on. Because what happens is that the choices we make in life, they have to be wholesome, they have to be true, they have to be righteous, they have to be based on the principles that actually empowers people, not just yourself, but empowers people. Because life is not just about me. At the end of life, I'm 95 years old, laying on the bed, and I'm not going to worry about how many more kitchens I have sold. That's not going to matter, right? But what is going to matter is that I will look around to see who is around the bed, who is standing there, what kind of a seed I have planted in their lives, and where they're going to be. So life is not about us. Now, we are benefactors of the good decisions we make. Good Lord has designed it that way, right? The hard-working farmer, as it says, is the first one that must eat from the harvest of his labor. That is true. But ultimately, life is about what we do in the lives of others. And we have ran our company actually that way. We really pour a lot into the lives of our employees. And over the years, like I said about this fellow that worked for us for 28 years and had 4 kids that they were all became PhDs. We had many of times that the opportunities, that there were disagreements and that sort of a thing, but I loved the guy. And I was willing to just pour myself into his life because he was just such a wonderful and faithful employee. So life, to me, is about faithfulness, is about hard work, it's about love and appreciation of who the other people are. Because ultimately...
Yeah, it sounds like making sure your success principles align with biblical principles.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Trust, faithfulness, caring,
yes,
love,
yes,
respect.
Yes. And because that is how we are created. We are created to respond to truth and honesty and integrity, right? So everybody knows that. Doesn't matter who it is. You get a guy that may be a gangbanger, he may be a thief, he may be a murderer, whatever he is, he has a sense of right and wrong within him, no matter what he is. You give him a bad check, he's going to tell you that's wrong. You say, no, wait a minute, who are you to tell me what's right and wrong? You do all these things wrong. But he knows it because everybody has that. That is something that's given to us by God. So we have to respond positively to the gift that God has entrusted to us. And that within itself produces good fruit in life.
I love the idea because I like the visionary kind of aspect of what you said about when I'm on the deathbed, you can't take the money with you. You can't take the cabinets. You can't take the house and the cars, but what you can take is your character, your reputation, a legacy.
Yeah.
I like thinking forward like that.
Yes.
Whereas, if I'm not feeling well, like if I'm physically sick, right, and I say, well, look, in 4 days I'm gonna feel better. So let me get through this right now. When I'm older, because I think the same way, I want to be, no matter if I go tomorrow or if I go when I'm 89 years old, I want to be able to look back and say, I did it the right way.
Yes.
With
Exactly
no regrets. Right. And I was honest. I paid my debts, and I can have peace with myself. So I love that kind of way to think.
That's absolutely the way to live. Otherwise, you're always going to have a conflict within yourself because we are not created that way. We are created to respond to truth, right? And when there is conflict within, when there is deceitfulness, you end up not having respect for yourself. Yep. Right? Because the respect for self comes from the fact of who you think you are. I remember one time I met a guy, and I was going through a difficult time in my life, and he asked me a question. He said, from 0 to 10, how much do you love yourself? And I thought, that must be a trick question. I said, if I tell him that I don't, I know I'm lying because that's not the truth. I definitely love myself. But if I tell him, 9 or 10, that sounds arrogant. So I said, no, 5. So I thought, get middle of the road. He said, why not 10? I said, I don't know. Why 10? He said, because if you don't love yourself and you don't appreciate who you are as an individual, you never are going to be happy in life because you are not going to pour into the lives of the other people. You must love your own integrity. You must love your own honesty. You must love your own decency. And that prompts you to be able to pour into the lives of the other people.
But that's why you're successful. Yeah. Is because, what you just explained the last 5 minutes. And then earlier when you said about working for the guy for free.
Yeah.
Let me give you value.
Yeah.
Let me provide value without expecting anything in return.
Yeah.
But because that's who you are.
Yeah.
But why are you that way? Is it because of how you grew up because of your parents when you were in Iran?
No.
Is that something that you think God planted within you?
Absolutely. I think that comes from understanding who God is, what He has done for us. When you look in the pages of history, there has never been somebody like Jesus Christ that was willing to give all that He has for humanity to be at a different level and relationship with His Father. It tells in book of Philippians, it says that though He existed, this is talking about Jesus Christ, He says, though He existed in a form of God, He did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped, but emptied Himself. Appearing in the likeness of man, right? In other words, Jesus Christ, when He came here, He didn't say, well, get out of my way, here is God coming. He came in humility, humbling Himself. I don't mean humility in a bad sense, but in the terms of being humble. He humbled Himself, appeared like one of us, went through life, went through the difficulties of life, just like you and I do, so He can identify with us. So now when I think about Him, I know that He is a Savior that is familiar with all the feelings of my infirmity, all the challenges of life that I have gone through, He has gone through. And He said, I know where you're going through, and I can help you. So He humbled Himself, appearing like a man, and then He could have chosen to die however He wanted. But He humbled Himself to the point of death, and death on a cross, which was full of shame. But it says that because of the joy that was before Him, He despised the shame and He endured the cross. So life is just like that. To me, is like that. There is a lot of challenges always going to come on my way, right? That is inevitable. But when I look at life, I said, I can endure this difficulty because it's going to bring benefit to the other people that are around. I remember the early years of the business, and, finances were tight. And my wife and I, we were talking about it. And, I had a motto, and we were talking about it. We said that whatever the money that's going to come in, we're going to have to pay first. We're going to pay our employees. Then we're going to pay our vendors. And if there is anything left, it's for us.
Right.
But that's how you have to look in life through things.
It's easy to see why you're successful.
Yeah.
With Carefree Kitchens, is it a business to business or business to consumer or both?
Well, we actually, I let Norman talk about that. He can, because he's our sales manager, he handles that pretty well. But go ahead, you can talk about it, how we go to.
You got to fix your microphone again, because I can't. Where you get this? There you go.
We're business to business. We go to we deal with builders, remodelers,
Right.
and we do new construction. We do remodeling work. We also deal with property management and do multifamily housing. So that's pretty much our main focus. So we, as Jeeg mentioned earlier, we work through builders or remodelers. So we, they're going out there selling the remodeling project for the house. So once they have a client that's interested, we meet with them. They send us their client. We go out and we either do a field measure, meet with the homeowner, get the information that they want, come back, do a design for them. We then, meet them, have them come to our showroom. They do selections, and we just carry that whole process and work with the remodeler. So they don't have to have their own showroom. They don't have to have because they're not necessarily going to be up to cabinets is going to be that they're great at putting kitchens in and they're great at installation and doing the demo, but they're not going to want to sit there and pick every little detail out, and it takes time out of their schedule. So we definitely, help them, partnering with them to be able to do that process, get them all the selections, the information, the layouts that they need. And then once we sell the job, then we do the delivery to the job site. They do the installations. We, of course, work with them, with their installers, giving them information, guidance, however they need. That's just one aspect. We do new construction homes. So we work with builders. We do, all different levels, and from starter homes up to fully custom type, cabinets. And then property management. We work with apartments. So we do renovations as there's move outs. Right. And then we also do new construction, like multifamily type builds and that kind of information. So we have, like you mentioned earlier, about 17 different lines that we deal with. So we're kind of cover the whole gamut. And the nice thing is that if one part of the market slows down, we're kind of like staged in each market, and we have different designers and salespeople that are, stronger in certain areas than others. So that some like real high end custom, some like, so we just basically try to figure out which market works best for us in that kind of direction. I believe that's a
correct. Yeah.
Kind of
because market always goes up and down.
Yeah.
When the as when the new construction is down, remodeling is up. When the remodeling is down and new construction is down, the multifamily projects are busy. They are trying to move in people. So that really helps us quite a bit to be able to have a smoother transition from one event of economy to another. Basically,
it's interesting because us being in the roofing business, we're largely needs based, right? It kind of doesn't matter, to a certain degree, right? Whereas a lot of the kitchen, bath, and basement guys, that's a want. But then I like the way that you kind of leverage yourself with doing the remodelers and the multifamily and the builders and stuff like that. So if one kind of segment is lacking, you can kind of double down or kind of focus on another vertical there.
Right.
How long have you been in the business?
So I've been with Carefree Kitchens now going on 30 years.
On 30 years?
Yes, sir. I started there in 96.
I'm 33, so he has known me since I've been about one.
I knew him. I knew him when he was born. Yes,
and that has been our blessing. We have had people like Norman that has been over with our company for a long period of time, and that's actually, I'm pretty sure that that from your own business, that the company is only successful if you have successful employees. If they are not successful, the company won't be successful, and vice versa. It's just, which one is more important, when you think about it? Is it the unity that is important, or is it the diversity that's important? Well, both are there, right? Because if you just have unity and it's just one thing that is there, but then the diversity is not there, things start falling apart. But if you have the diversity and there is not a unity there, right? So I guess in philosophy, they call it one and many. You need to have both of those things. And that is so critical. And that doesn't happen unless you really have wonderful people such as Norman that are there, that have been, that grow with the company, that knows the inner working of the company.
It tells me too, if he's been there 33 years, he's like family.
Absolutely. It's a family.
And I've said this before. I've worked with other companies where they consider the employees more like family.
Yes.
Matter of fact, when they would have events, they're like bringing the family.
Yes.
And everything. 33 years, I don't believe you though, because
Give me three extra.
I went to
30.
Holy.
Well, I like what you say. You pay your employees first.
Yeah.
Pay your bills.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it is anything for you.
But there's also, financial, modeling behind that. You got to make sure that, you're profitable.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. In relation to marketplace volatility too,
That's
which is hard. A lot of people don't see the layers down there. There might be years where you pay your employees first, pay your vendors, and you've got 3% left.
Yes.
In other economic cycles, you might have 10%.
That's right.
So
exactly right.
It's interesting to as I'm 46, and that you start. So I haven't been through that many economic cycles, but you can start with 2008 when I was 29, and then you see the dip, and then once 10 and 11 hits, then we were buzzing.
That's right.
Until 2010 to 2021. It was just, everybody was growing.
Right.
And then 21, we had that dip, and then now everything's all kind of wobbly and shaky, know, but, I like that philosophy as well. But, a lot of moving parts for sure.
It is a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
And, running, people don't realize how hard it is in this country, or for that matter anywhere, but especially in the United States, to run a small business. The small business and that is why the small business generates 75% of the new employment in the country. And that is very important segment of what happens in the lives of people. If you just think about that, how many lives does a small business really touch? How many families a small business touch? It's just incredible. Why? Because the guy that is running the business, that is at the head of that small business, knows the struggles, knows the challenges, knows what it takes to make things go, and he can be the one that can help others in that process so they can understand. I have about, 3 guys that I can think of now that used to work for us that now they have their own businesses. The same type of a business that we have, a little bit different, because they learned, because we poured into them, we taught them, and now they are successful. But that's the way that things go. And that's wonderful.
So, Norm, with 33 years, I still find that hard to believe. 33 years with the same company, what's the biggest change that you've seen with the products?
Cabinets have just evolved from being when I first started. You had 2, 3 color choices. You had 1 or 2 door styles, and you didn't have a lot of different choices. Now with the internet, social media, everything is access everybody has. People used to come up with magazines and say, hey, here's a picture of what I saw in this remodeling magazine that they got, a year ago, and they still kept it, and that was what they wanted to show you. But now they come in every day, something's changing. So as they're seeing stuff online, and so now, some of the products we have, they claim they have 3,500 different options that you can get with cabinets, this door style, this color, this, shade of whatever glaze added to it. You can do something crazy, and then you get so many choices. So people just completely, have so much choice, which sometimes makes it hard for them to make decisions. So it's good and bad. But still, the most common popular thing right now is white. White cabinets have just still are holding true. But we are starting to see a lot of wood tones come in now that are coming back. So for, two-tone kitchens are now kind of popular. You have a perimeter, a solid pink color, and then you're getting a lot of islands that are just not your normal maple or cherry. They're doing like a lot of white oak. We're getting a lot of requests for mahogany now. So different wood type species for islands to kind of set that off. Door styles have really, it's funny, they've gotten a lot simpler now than they used to be. The raised panels aren't as much. The real decorative doors have kind of gone away. Now it's definitely, more of a simple, the shaker style, sometimes a more farmhouse look, I guess, door styles, for some people call it that. People are starting to change that a little bit and ask for a little more detail again in the doors. But a lot of features just on cabinets, like used to be soft closed type hinges, soft closed drawers. Those were all kind of like add-ons. Now they become a standard in a lot of the different lines for the most part. So features like that are pretty much the biggest change, I guess. I mean, cabinets are still pretty much built very similar, different products being used in the cabinet. But
all right, so crazy question. Well, it's not a crazy question. You have the smart refrigerators. Do you think you'll ever see? Don't even tell me they're already there. The cabinets that way. You're just like,
there's not smart cabinets yet, but like you're talking about the refrigerators where you can see inside. You're on your phone. It tells you what kind of food you have,
it
what's
tells
left
you when
over.
you're out. Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's not. It's probably possible. They do have appliance different features on the cabinets now. You can have like where you touch them and they'll automatically open the door for you. It's like a servo drive, they call it. So you can have different features like that put in some of your cabinets if you want that frameless look and no hardware and some more modern contemporary. So there is some push to touch things where things will pop open, but in some of your higher end kitchens. But yeah, they haven't gotten to that yet. But I'm sure somebody will develop a little camera that goes in each cabinet, and then you can just have. You won't have to do anything. Yeah,
it's childproofing a big thing with them.
It's funny. It seemed like it used to be a big deal. It's honestly not getting asked for that as much as we used to, and I don't know why. But it used to be a thing that everybody wanted to, get away from putting the plastic clips on their knobs or using the rubber bands to hold them shut. But because they do have some kind of magnets that go in the doors, and you can have it hidden. But of course, that's always fun for the parents because then you got to remember where you placed it, and it's not the easiest thing to get in and out of. But the childproofing thing hasn't really changed. You think that might be something that somebody would have came up with a better idea for? But
the smart technology, that's what actually things that is now happening is that they are putting all these sensors and things like that. I mean, you have seen the faucets, right? That you just move your hand and it starts.
Oh, yeah. Right. I ran into one this weekend at my brother's house and it freaked me out.
Yeah, right.
I had no idea. I put my rocks glass there and the thing came on. Like, jumped back.
Right.
It scared me.
Yeah. So cabinets that might be the next thing down the road. We'll see. We haven't seen it yet, though, but it's probably coming.
I was going to say that with the way these smart devices are popping up, I wouldn't be surprised if.
Oh, yeah. That functionality is going to be the big thing.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, especially if, you can program anything on your phone. Oh, okay. Start cooking dinner. So it's ready by the time I get home.
I need that one.
Huh?
I need that one.
You do?
It's like something I can just say, make dinner for me. Because neither me or my wife. My wife, neither of us like making dinner. So it's like we get home and we're like,
I'm the cook. So I technically
it's like this stare down. Like, are you making dinner tonight? No, you are. No, you are.
Okay, how about we order pizza?
Right. That's what the drive-through is, right?
Yep. All right. So what is it that each of you do? I know you're a sales manager.
Right.
So what you do? What do you do first?
Sure. So I help run a lot of on-the-ground connections and development for the company.
Part-time, though?
Correct, part-time.
Okay.
So just getting them plugged into whether it's networking side, so getting them in front of like the right type of builders or point of contacts at different brands, or if it's on the community side, getting them plugged in with the chamber and other organizations like that. So a lot more on the grounds type of presence. And then I also help run their government affairs perspective and side of that, just because so much of our industry, and it's true of any industry, but especially in the construction and building industry, is tied to policy and what is happening not only at a state level, which is very unique here in obviously Maryland, but at a very local level too. And so it's just helping them be aware of different things coming down the pipeline, what they need to be looking at as it relates to the industry, and then on a business side too, on a regulatory sense, especially with them at, operating a warehouse and standards that they have to uphold and EPA things and how that comes down and what that looks like. There's so much that either allows a business to prosper and grow or does not. And so just having a good pulse on that and keeping that on their radar is the other pocket that I do.
Well, since you guys provide the 48 different states, does this mean you have to look into everything for each state?
Depends on how active we are. We are most active, obviously, in the state of Maryland.
Right.
A majority of our business is here. But if we are going to be active, yes, in another state, and if there's certain areas that they want us to be plugging into, then yeah, I would be on the ground helping them figure that out as well.
Wow. And only part-time?
Yes.
That could be a full-time job.
Probably a part
job with all the traveling and everything.
Probably a part-time designation, but a full-time job.
Yes.
All right, so part-time, how many hours you putting in there?
Well, I don't really track it that way. It is what it is. It's like you're there whenever you need to be there, and that's just how it works. So, yeah, I guess on an administrative official sense, part-time. I don't ever really view it in that capacity. And so just as owning your own company, there's no set hours that you're in or you're out. You're always on. It's that. And this is obviously, family company too.
Tell the truth. You're actually there more than your own business, aren't you?
Well, it is whatever needs to be successful is what we do.
Go on, don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
She does a great job, bringing new business to us and just connect us with different builders and different developers and that sort of a thing. She's doing a great job.
Is there anything else about the business that you want to learn?
About Carefree specifically?
Yeah.
I love, and so this is, my first job was actually Carefree Kitchens when I was, I don't even know, and like 5 or 6. Dad would bring us in and we would file and we would get paid like $2 a day. I don't know. So we would file, and then we would have a job of sorting boxes in the warehouse.
Pocket change.
To be fair, the $2 a day probably was very fair because when we had to go to the warehouse to help sort things, we mostly just played around and got pushed on carts and had a lot of fun.
Kind of hard to fire somebody over $2 a day.
Yeah, whatever it was. We adjusted for inflation. It'll be a little higher than that. But I have been very blessed on the other side of it to watch how my father has built it and what it means to run a business and what it means to have grit and stick-to-itness. Because it is not, I'll back up. I remember when we hit the 2008 recession because that was the first time I was old enough to understand that what Dad did at work impacted the family and what was coming home. And we had I don't know if you remember this, we had a conversation about where the recession that was coming. You sat us down and you talked to us and you said, this is what it's going to look different. We might not be able to buy certain things. We might not be able to go out to eat as often or whatever it is where you have to cut your budget. And that was the first time I distinctly remember in the kitchen having the conversation by the mailboxes. Yeah. And we talked about this. And so
it was a very difficult time, frankly,
very,
2008,
yes. And that was the first time I think we have ever, I was a teen at that point, that you had a conversation with us.
Yeah.
Bringing us into.
Everybody, we sat around and I explained to him what's going on. I said, I don't know how we're going to, there are things in life that you can bypass, you can go around it. But there are certain situations in life, the only way to the other side is through it. Mm-hmm. And 2008 was one of those things. If you're in business, the only way that you could go through it. And I used to tell our guys at work, I said, in this environment, survival is victory, because things were just so bad at that time. And, we just had a family meeting. Hey, here is everything's going. But we have been fortunate, I've been able to put some money aside. We're going to get through it, even though if there is no income to come to. And that it happened. A lot of our, actually, sad to say, a lot of companies like, our competitors, they went out of business during that period of time. They just simply didn't survive.
Well, the other good thing with that is you sat down, with the family and just a teenager. Are you the youngest?
No, I'm 5 in the 8 lineup.
So you even had younger.
Yeah, him and then two others
Yeah.
younger. Yep.
She's number 5 in the lineup. I'm number 6.
All right, so you sit down with all of them,
Yeah.
tell them that, which is very smart because at that time, that's a lot on you. And if they see the stress that you're under, then they're wondering what is going on.
Yeah.
Yes.
But to have that or to be able to sit down and tell them, I would think it's also they're like a support system for you as well. And I would think that helped you a lot to
Yes.
get through it all.
And to your question earlier of like the other aspects of learning the industry, not only just learning the industry. I mean, I can't tell you how patient even Norm has been as I will sit there and be like, Norm, walk me through these X amount of things that I don't know that I would very much like to learn and understand on that
Right.
capacity so that I can best represent it. But it gets back to the like, know why you do what you do. Why are you doing this? You are doing this because it is an opportunity to invest back into the family company, is an opportunity to invest back into your local network that is my family here, and Norm for sure included in that, right? So being able to live that day in and day out and say, okay, how can I best represent them? What does that look like? And understanding the heart of where this all came from, why my father built this, why the employees stay around for so long, why they invest so much, why several of my siblings are there, why is that, and how best can you serve that? That's a great thing to learn. That is incredible. And I'm very thankful for that. And I think Jetty would probably say.
And his service, attitude to the employees keeps our employees there, but that does translate, of course, his mottos and his beliefs goes right into how we treat our customers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our biggest thing is service to the customer. I mean, I've seen even situations that, customer was completely wrong.
Right.
They got 100% what they were supposed to get. And there's been times when he's, said, nope, the thing to do right is to make this right. And let's do this that way, without a question. So service is definitely the motto. And like I said, if it's same as your name, if you don't have, he can make all the silver from selling cabinets for Carefree Kitchens, but it's his reputation and the name. So that has been instilled actually in all the employees that work there. And then that is definitely and the customers that we have, we're always looking for new customers, obviously, and trying to pick up new customers, but we've had a very long track record of some very long customers. I've been there for 30 years, like I said, did sales from starting. And so a lot of my customers I have from the very beginning are still customers to this day, even though I'm not day-to-day handling their stuff.
Right.
Other salespeople are now, but they are all, we've had a very good, so relationships are a big thing. I mean, anybody can sell cabinets, but for us, it's service is definitely the.
And I like the I always go back to the core values. Like you become magnetic and attractive, right? The kind of person that you are, you attract those kind of people. So I think that's why you've probably got, I know one of your children, I've just met another, and you're probably, the other 6 are probably the same way. And you can probably look through all your employees and see that they're probably a lot like you.
Yeah. We have been very fortunate, and blessed actually. The Lord would send us these wonderful employees, but you have to be willing to put yourself into the lives of others, because there are always, as in relationship, there are times that the chips are down. And those are the important times that you would be there, just like any family would be, right? In the family, there are challenges. Well, any community that you are involved is kind of like a family. And how much are you willing to really put into the lives of the others when the chips are down? It is great that everybody can claim to be the good people, good friend and everything when everything is hunky-dory. But what happens when things are not right?
Yeah.
What happens when there is pain and suffering? Then where are you going to be? And that's what's important. That's what people actually remember.
Yeah.
Yes, a serve others first mentality.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that it doesn't matter. I mean, kitchens. I think whatever you would have did, you would have been successful. So congratulations.
Building picture frame,
anything.
being a firefighter. I said you handle all the marketing, right?
I do.
Have you always done the marketing?
Well, yes, pretty much. But like I said earlier, I wear many hats. So when we were growing up, Dad would bring us into the business and we'd be in the shop doing different things. And so throughout high school, we'd come in, and my brother and myself, and sometimes we would unload cabinets full of, or truckloads full of cabinets, or we'd go out on delivery, or we'd work in the shop, or, we'd go out with someone installing in the field. And so we kind of learned that aspect of the business. And then basically for me, when I graduated high school, I was really into sports, played lacrosse and football, basketball, everything. So my whole focus was like, I want to go to college and play sports. So when I went to Towson University and I was playing lacrosse, I was trying to figure out, do I want to do physical therapy or do I want to go the business route with something? And, we're really close as a family. So we talk about a lot of stuff. And obviously the family is very important. I think the family structure and function, and you look at society, the family's not, if the family's not held together, like society will fall apart. It's very important. And so through college, I just started thinking, I'd love to go work for the family business. I really like being involved. And I saw what a great role model my father was. Just, he worked hard. Yeah. And he always said too, you get paid to solve problems. The more problems you solve for people, the more successful you'll be. It's and fun. So through when I was at Towson, so I studied business administration and marketing. So I graduated in 2015, and then I came on to Carefree full time. And so, like I said, we have almost 50 employees, and I run the marketing department, and the marketing department is myself. And that's pretty much it. There was no marketing department. And going off of relationships and how we're so service oriented, all the years that Carefree has been in business, everything was word of mouth. My father and Norm built strong relationships with builders and remodelers, interior designers. And so Carefree had a really strong relationship in the community. But we had no presence online. There was no footprint. There was nothing. If you had looked for Carefree online, or it was like Yellow Pages, you had to find a phone number and show up at a showroom somewhere. So when I came in, we had no website. And I was like, well, let's start building a website. And we also had no photography of any of the cabinets, kitchens, countertops, anything that we had ever done. So Carefree had been really blessed over the years because of my father, because of Norm, and a lot of people like that out there cultivating relationships and building. So people knew the work we did. They knew its quality. We didn't have anything to show for a lot of it. And so, so when I came in there, I started putting the website together, started trying to put us on all the social medias, trying to build everything out, and then get photography of all the kitchens and projects we have done. And then while doing that, it was, hey, we need you to go unload this trailer full of cabinets. So I'll go down in the shop, or can you go out in the field and help this guy put a cabinet up? Or, so, and a lot of the people have been at Carefree for a long time. We have a lot of the same employees we have. And so, it was like, I was really young at one point, and all these guys seemed so old and cool. And then now they still seem so cool, but now I'm working with them. And so now I get to go out with them and do different things. So I handle a lot of the marketing. At the same time,
you're doing everything.
I'm doing a lot of other stuff. Yeah. And but I'm there like full time with everything. And so that's, and it's pretty fun because my brother, he's younger than me, and he's very involved with the company as well. And my office, my brother's office, and my dad's office are next to each other. And so for us, we get to have a lot of conversations. And, I guess some people don't work well together with family here and there.
It's hard.
We work really well together. And going back to 2008, when Dad sat us down and talked to us about the business and where things were going and the picture, that's a look into our life as a family. He was very open about a lot of stuff. And so growing up, it made it easy when we have to address things in the business or just talk about anything in general. It's like a communication. You just have conversation about it. And so it's really simple.
Well, something very important. What's the website and how can people get in touch with Carefree?
Oh, yeah, of course. So
I asked the right person.
So,
if you forget, you're getting fired. You realize?
Yeah, I know. I was fired myself. No, but the website's carefreeindustries.com. All our social media, we're on Instagram, Facebook, X, Pinterest, Houzz. It's Carefree Kitchens. And so, yeah, you can go on the website and carefreeindustries.com, and you can find all our socials there. You can find the photography we do. All the cabinet lines we carry are listed there, the areas that we service, and the different type of scope of work we do. It's all listed on the website. So it's carefreeindustries.com. And, yep, we have a couple showrooms too, one in Frederick, one in Linthicum as well. And so, and then our main manufacturing plant's in Baltimore, and that's like our main offices.
So Anne Arundel, Baltimore, Frederick.
Yeah.
Wait, what part of Baltimore?
That is
Right off of the exit for Canton.
Yeah. You know where St. Agnes Hospital is?
Yeah.
It's right down the street from there. But that's our like manufacturing or warehouse distribution.
Okay.
All of that goes in and out of there. So
But that's where your offices are.
Yes.
yes.
So you guys go down there every day.
Yes.
Yes, we do.
I don't miss that drive. Don't miss that drive at all. Joe, you have anything?
I mean, this is a good one. You know, I love the origin story. I love just the process and the values and how well the family works together, and just the grit and the consistency and the empathy, and it's really easy to see why you guys have been in business for so long. And I love reading stuff like this, you know, leadership books and self-help stuff, but it's really good to see a real life example of a family and a patriarch, you know, that, you know, came from a troubling time and created a sustainable, long-lasting business built on core values. And yeah, very, very inspiring story, and it's very easy to see why you guys are so successful. So
This is American dream. Honestly.
Yes.
Best
Yes.
country in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Gave us opportunity.
You said it perfectly right there. He came here for it and proved that the American dream still exists.
Yes.
So is there anything you would like to add before I get to any of you would like to add before I get to my last question?
He didn't mention this, but when he worked at the restaurant, he got to wait on Johnny Cash. And I love Johnny Cash.
No.
I thought that was such a cool feature.
I mean, there was two features of that. He got to wait on Johnny Cash, and who did he meet? Mom.
But Mom, yeah, he met Mom at the restaurant.
There you
Yeah.
go.
He freaked her out. I'm gonna tell a little of the story. He saw her eating at the restaurant, right?
Yeah.
Took note of what she was eating, ran into her later that week or evening or something.
That evening.
That evening. Freaked her out, walked up to her and said, "Hi, how was your surf and turf?" And she was like, "Creep." And he was like, "Not gonna give up." And 3 months later, they were married.
3 months late. Wow.
Yeah.
3 months, is that
That
right?
was
That's
impressive.
it. 3 months later.
And they celebrated 50 years about 2.5 weeks ago.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
50 years.
Wow. Wait, 50 years
Yes.
Yeah,
and you're only 40.
that's right.
Wow. And Johnny Cash?
Yeah, it was really neat. You know, when I worked in the restaurant, it was a popular spot because back then there was the Painter's Mill dinner
Oh,
theater.
yeah. Yep.
So you would have all these actors and actresses and the comedians and whatever singers that they would come. They would stay in this hotel, and I work at the restaurant of hotel. And, you know, over the years, you know, my boss that I ended up, you know, working for free at the picture framing, he really liked me because I took care of the people. I really, you know, honored them. You know, customers were important to me ever since then. And so I would get to wait on these dignitaries. So, you know, I waited on Bob Hope, waited on Johnny Cash, you know, waited on, Sammy Davis Jr. and others, you know, so it was really
That's
neat,
pretty cool.
neat experience.
Wow. All right. So, oh my God.
But
Yeah, Johnny Cash is my favorite too. So.
But if anybody was to draw up, you know, a playbook of success and how to do it right, yeah, that's a great story.
Yeah.
This has been a good one.
Have you guys actually ever thought about writing a book about running a family, a true family-owned business? Or having somebody write it?
I'm gonna leave it to the next generation. If I write a book, it's gonna be all written with accents and nobody's gonna understand.
Little Farsi thrown in there.
Yeah.
Well,
Arabic.
I'll try to do this in my best Johnny Cash voice, but I don't want to say a Thank you very much. I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore, man. I can't do it anymore. No, I want to thank y'all.
We walked the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say Ring of Fire when you were talking about the food.
My pants up with a
There
piece
you
of
go.
twine.
That's better. Yeah, that's better. A little
There
better.
you go. There you go.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Oh.
Rich. Thank you, Joe.
Yes.
Appreciate
We
it.
were sure honored to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Conversations with Rich Bennett. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something from it as I did. If you'd like to hear more conversations like this, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you have a moment, I'd love it if you could leave a review. It helps us reach more listeners and share more incredible stories. Don't forget to connect with us on social media or visit our website at conversationswithrichbennett.com for updates, giveaways, and more. Until next time, take care, be kind, and keep the conversations going. You know, it takes a lot to put a podcast together, and my sponsors help out a lot, but I also have some supporters that actually help me when it comes to the editing software, the hosting, and so forth. There's a lot that goes into putting this together. So I want to thank them. And if you can, please visit their websites, visit their businesses, support them however you can. So please visit the following. Full Circle Boards. Nobody does charcuterie like Full Circle Boards. Visit them at fullcircleboards.com. Sincerely Sawyer Photography. Live in the moment. They'll capture it. Visit them at sincerelysawyer.com. The Joppatown Lions Club, serving the community since 1965. Visit them at joppatownlionsclub.org. And don't forget the E at the end of Joppatown because they're extraordinary.